welcome back to another tutorial from Rachel, and today we are going to draw some pretty interesting stuff, and I'm going to show you how to open and make files in Photoshop and learn a little bit deeper into Photoshop, because last time I did animate. So now we're going to do this. So as you can see, I can have some of my files here with like stuff I've worked on in the past, because that's how cool Photoshop is right now. We're going to click and make a new file. So as you can see, it's taking a while. So first thing first, when the new file thing pops up, as soon as it does, so I always set my files to 10 by 8, and usually you can change that up with the orientation, and I always go landscape because I am like that. So landscape is always the way I go, but you can also go portrait, which would make it 8 by 10 or 10 by 8. So usually I go by the landscape version. So another thing is you always want to have 300 pixels per inch so that your images don't turn out blurry or really pixely, because we always want to have good quality images. Because if you put a lot of work into something and you've only made it 100 dot per inch or 72 dot per inch, it's gonna look like a pixel image, and that's not gonna be cool at all. So we always want to make it 300. So another thing is we always want to make our images the RGB, I can't see it that good, but always want to make it that way so that our color scales are always good and can go with the web browsers that you're going to put them on, because other times, sometimes they don't go as well, and I don't like that. So I always go 8-bit because that's the easiest and simplest way. So that's how we're going to start our file today. So now I got my brand new spanking new file, and we are going to get some art on here today. Woohoo! Brand new! So let's begin! Alright, so now we're moving on to how to get the file from your phone to your computer. So I always take a picture from my sketchbook and put it onto my iPhone. So I plugged in my phone and asked permission, and now I'm on my phone files, and I just need to find my picture that I took. And sometimes you gotta sort the files because they go crazy with iPhone photos. So I'm selecting them, and then I'm just gonna drag them onto the desktop, where then I will move them into Photoshop, which I've just got a video file and a photo, which I just need the photo for now. Alright, so now I'm just going to select the photo and move it out of the way so I can throw it into Photoshop. So you just get Photoshop in a way that you can just move it on, and usually this always works. So first thing you need to do is always push enter. Once you've moved an image on and it's doing the little X, there's nothing you can do until you've pushed enter. And if you don't, then it might go away. So you make sure that you push enter first things first, always. If something's not working, maybe it's because you need to push enter. Sometimes it's like the worst problem that you could ever have on Photoshop. You're like, oh no, nothing's working. Push enter or deselect something. You can always go Control D, and that's always deselect. If something is crazy selected, sometimes it won't let you move on to new things. But anyways, so I'm going to resize this and make it the right portion and get it in the middle so that it's not crazy looking, and just kind of move it around so it looks good. Alright, so now I'm going to make sure I rasterize this picture so that I don't have such a big file size and risk crashing, because sometimes when you end up getting a lot of screen clips on here and everything, Photoshop's like, oh no, this is too big of a file size, I can't handle it. So it'll like kill on it. It'll die. So I always try to like make my file sizes as small as I can when I'm just doing a tiny project, so I'm not stressing it out. So anyways, you can click new image, and I made too many. And so click on the new image button down there. So I'm going to make a new layer so that I can make my line art. So next thing we do is get going on the line art. So I've already showed you how I made my really fancy brush last time on my tutorial, but today we're going to draw. Woohoo! So now I'm going to draw. All right. Alrighty, so now we're finished with all the line art, almost. as I just get the last finishing touches up on his bow staff back there. So next step we're going to do is get a new layer, and we're going to go searching for an image on what his color scale is. Like, what kind of colors is Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And I always loved the newer versions of Ninja Turtles, not the movies, but the TV shows, of course, because I love them. So I'm just going to take a little screen clippy of him and then drag him into my thing to get a reference. And you don't have to reference as long as you know where you're getting your data stuff from. Like, I'm basing him off the TV show, so credit towards the TV show because it was awesome. So it's not really anyone's artwork unless they like actually modified it, because then you would have to credit their artwork. But I'm just taking it from the TV series, so it's just any kind of other fan art. So just gonna grab that clip that I just took a screenshot of and drag it into our file so we can get some dropper tools on it. And it's not really that great of an image, but that actually helps you choose the right color types when you are looking for the certain color they are, because when the pixelier they are, the simpler the color scale is. So I'm going to pick like the lightest of light colors, not like a highlight, but like in the middle, to choose for his skin color. And I'm just going to fill all that in. So here we go. Alright, so now all the base colors are in, and now it's time to shade. So I just chose like a darker green color because I'm super lazy. And sometimes like when I use just black, people think I'm even lazier. So I'm just going to choose a color that's kind of like a darker green and try to find like the low lights of where shading would usually be. I mean, I'm not a super pro at this at all, so don't judge, but anyways, then I gradient blur that, and then just kind of take the opacity down, and then make sure that there's no shadows in places there shouldn't be, and basically, it's done after that. So I'm just going to save it as a PNG, and it's